Hello, everybody. Welcome to Michelle's Inspiration Hour. And again, I hope that every episode brings you motivation, it brings you joy, and most of all, inspiration. And I know that you're listening to this, that you actually have your own life story that inspired you, that you can tell other people. So go out there and tell others about your inspirational story. The one thing I'm going to quote right now, though, is balance your life and love it. Okay, so this is what we're going to be talking about with our next guest and how she helps others balance their lives. All right, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. So, Lita has been helping people get and stay balanced for over 12 years. She ensures that their energy is clear of contaminants and especially non beneficial energies. These energies are very common in our world, and most people are unaware of them. The most important aspect of Alida's processes is that she helps her clients rid their minds of, and I love this, stinking thinking. Something that can bewilder any one of us. And yeah, so I totally agree. So I'm so excited to hear about her inspirational story and how she helps others balance their lives. Hello, hello. How are
Hey,
you?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
I am fantastic because I have a fantastic guest on that I'm so excited about because working with energy. But the first thing that I want to know is okay, you were in the corporate world, okay,
Mhm.
and then you changed direction totally. So, how did this happen for you? I'm always just really interested in how people change what they're doing, totally doing what they're doing. So, how did this happen for you?
Well, I have a very interesting story in that I retired from corporate America and I went into doing my plan B, which was an Arbonne business, which is healthy skincare and
Mhm.
living products. And I had so many clients, but I wasn't making any money.
Mhm.
And I found that interesting. It turns out it was just a stepping stone because about a year after I retired, I was going to see my chiropractor. Well, actually, no, I did have a new chiropractor. My original one had gone on maternity leave, and she called me and said, I'm back from maternity leave and I get you ought to come see me. And I'm thinking, what was that? Well, I had a new chiropractor, and because I was a runner at the time, long distances, and um, I felt so awkward with that conversation. I actually said, "Oh, sure, I'll have an appointment." So I set one for about 2 weeks out. Then, about a week before that appointment, I thought I just finished seeing my new chiropractor, so I even called the office, wouldn't cancel it, but I pushed it out a week. So the night before the canceled appointment or the new appointment,
Mhm.
I I came home to my answering machine that had a message on it reminding me of the appointment. Well, I don't cancel appointments. That's just not my style. So I
Mhm.
thought, well, I guess I'm going. Okay. So I go to the appointment the next day. She lays me down on the chiropractic table and she says, I feel sadness. Now she's doing kinesiology with my arm, if you understand that. It's a type of
Mhm.
muscle testing. And I looked up at her and I said, I'm not sad. There's no part of me that's sad. And she tests again and she says, Yep, there's sadness there. Well, then something came over me. I looked up at
Mhm.
her and I said, Well, my ex husband, now mind you, he was my second husband, an extreme narcissist of
Mhm.
the personality disorder type. And I said, Well, my ex husband, about a week and a half ago committed suicide. Would that be him? And she said, Oh, yes, that's him. He's here with you.
Oh, wow.
You need to talk to him. And she walked away from the table. I'm laying there going, What is this?
Yeah.
Tears started streaming down my cheeks. And I said to him
Mhm.
in my mind, I loved you once. I don't anymore. You hurt me and you hurt my children.
Mhm.
We're happy now and you need to leave. All of a sudden, I felt almost a release and relief.
Mhm.
As I said, tears running down my cheeks. She comes back to the table at that moment, retests my arm again, and said, "Yep, he's gone."
Oh, wow.
But then she goes, "But he's up in this corner here and he's really angry." And I go, "Oh, that would be him, right? Because he
Yeah,
just has
right.
a temper." And so that awakened in me something. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
even getting goosebumps now telling you the story
Mm.
because I had no idea what that was. And I left that appointment having set another appointment for 2 weeks out. And so I started on my journey. It was an awakening. She helped me with so many things. One day she said, "You're a crystal healer and you want to carry a quartz crystal around." So I went to the rock store, the crystal store, and I bought a quartz crystal and carried it around in my pocket. I don't know. So it was quite the beginning of my journey. And I worked with this chiropractor for about 6 months. I'll tell you a lot more stories about it that time. And then the next 6 months, we were collaborating. But in the year from February of 2009 to February of 2010, I was on a massive, immense journey, even including dark energy, where
Mm.
I was constantly awakened to new and better and higher vibrational things. And so it led me to February of 2010 when one day she started getting this information in.
Mhm.
Looked at the information she was getting and I went, "Oh, I know what to do with that." And I actually built my complete protocol that I use with clients today. It's obviously grown a little, but I had the framework for how to help people rid themselves of non beneficial energy and of dark
Wow.
energy. And I went on maybe 2, 3 months of helping people with it that would just call me by word of mouth. I have all these clients, and every time I'd let it go to voicemail, and I'd listen, and I'd kind of ask a question. I feel I was asking God, "Well, can I
Mhm.
help?" I'd get yes. Oh, and then, "Well, can I charge them?" And I'd get no. I said, "Okay," because I knew I was going to be building a business. And
Mhm.
eventually, then I asked, "May I charge them?" And I got a yes. And I went, "Oh, cool, shingles out." So that's my story.
Well, and that's very, very interesting because I know that you wanted to apart from your ex-husband, but it
Yes,
sounds like he actually helped you get on the right pathway. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
I think, even though he was angry, he wanted to stay with you.
Hmm.
There's, like you said, it's a stepping stone. There's always a reason for everything. And we
Yes.
don't realize whenever something negative happens in our
Hmm.
lives because it's not ever easy.
Right.
And you didn't know anything about crystals. So do you use crystals in your business as well right now?
I have them around me. And I have someone that makes pendulums for me with crystals, okay? And they're absolutely beautiful because I mean, a year after that, oh, by the way, I now say I graduated from corporate America. I don't say I retired anyway. So, but isn't that funny? So, a year after that, so February of 2011, I realized that I had so much information I wanted to share with people that I started channeling in. I know I channeled in. It's called A Course in Awareness. So I help people grow their energy. So my goal was to help people be able to move into spiritual awareness easier than I did. Mine was really cumbersome. So in that course, I give everyone a pendulum. And it's a homemade, it's a
Oh.
beautiful pendulum that they can then use to help get their answers verified. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and if for the listeners that really don't understand, what does a pendulum? What kind of questions does it answer for you,
Well,
and
the
how does it
pendulum
work?
doesn't. It's interesting. I love a pendulum because it helps verify. So a pendulum is strictly something that's going to move one way or another. A cute little pendulum I have here. Let me put it in front of the thing. I can get a yes, and I can say, "Show me a no," and it's going in a no, right? Or show me the other no and I can get the other no, or show me a yes again and it'll go clockwise and I have another yes, which is front and back. Now, I use a pendulum um, to confirm. So I'm not going to ask my pendulum questions, not no. I teach people this too, which is to get the answer coming in our head, right? So I want to first intuit, use my intuition to get an answer. And then I use the pendulum to confirm that answer. I think that's really important because I certainly don't want anything like a pendulum answering my questions, but I
Mm.
want to bring that answer in. And of course, my relationship is very, very strong with God. I want to, through my higher self, bring in what is the best solution. And my clients ask me questions all the time, right?
Oh, yeah,
And
absolutely.
and
That's
so
that's
that's how I use a pendulum. Uh-huh.
okay. So I think I think it's absolutely wonderful. So you talk about, removing this dark energy,
Yes.
for your clients. Can you kind of explain what the dark energy is and also what the difference is, beneficial versus non-beneficial energy?
Absolutely. And you've got my terminology great. So when I first started this work, I didn't want to call anything light energy versus dark energy. It didn't feel good to me. So I felt like energy that's not good for us is non-beneficial energy. So it's anything that's not good for us. It might be anger in the air, okay? It's not good for us. So um, a non-beneficial energy is going to be seriously any thought form that's out there that might be our anger or fear. Oh my gosh, fear is a big one right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fear out in the world. And do you know that we can even walk into a room where someone's been there angry and pick up anger? And that energy goes into our body. And
Mm.
so we can pick up non beneficial energies. They are energies that are not for our highest and best good.
Mm.
And then beneficial energies is love, right? It's
Yeah.
everything happy and joy that is good energy for our being. All right. Now,
Right.
non beneficial energy can be dark. All right. And for me, dark energy is something on two lists I have. Okay.
Mm.
So I like to categorize it, I like to identify it and give it a name because when I do that, I can easily get it cleared. Okay.
Mhm.
So dark energy is extremely not good for our purpose. It can be icky, mean, and horrible. And
Mhm.
I can go on for a little longer and tell you about dark energy if you'd
Oh,
like.
right. Okay, well, that's what you do, right? Is that you remove it from other
Right,
people's. Now, do you
right.
remove it from the aura or do you from their energy or where do you remove this?
Okay. So any non-beneficial energy can invade our body. It can
Mhm.
be in our energy centers, which are our chakras. It can be in our heart. It can be in an organ. It can be anywhere in our body, down to the minutia of a cell.
Okay.
Okay. And there's a lot of empty space in our body between molecules where non-beneficial and dark energy can reside. It can also be around us. It can be in our room. It can be in
Mm.
our auric field. Okay.
Okay.
So there's nothing special about dark energy. It's just dark, right?
Yeah.
And I like to think about clearing energy and clearing dark energy that it's just like flicking it off your shoulder. It's no different to me than a non-beneficial energy that's not dark. And
Right.
so it doesn't get me wound up. It sometimes makes me go, ooh, that's really dark, but I don't get wound up. And so I have a sense of humor about dark energy.
Mhm.
So when I give it a name, and so maybe I can talk a bit about the fact that I have two lists. I have the extreme dark energy, which is the really icky, 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 mean, horrible stuff.
Mhm.
And one of the latest ones, I gave it a name, and I gave it the name of Scream Bloody Murder.
Right.
I've called it Biggest Fear. I have one called that.
Mhm.
Um, I I have one called Wrecking Ball and Firestorm because I like to treat it a little more in a light way. But let
Mhm.
me tell you how I clear these dark
Yes.
energies.
Okay.
It's not really an easy thing. When I was first learning in that first year, I would try to clear them, and guess what? It would backlash on me. It would
Mhm.
flash in my face like splat. I thought, well, that doesn't work. So I realized I needed a good way to clear it is I call on Archangel Michael.
Mhm.
He's the warrior angel. He carries that sword, right?
Mhm.
And so what I do for all of these extreme dark energies, and I'm up to about 40 now, is that I write a clearing for them. So I actually um, read that clearing for every client that has that extreme dark energy. So I have one written for Wrecking Ball. I have it written for Scream Bloody Murder. I have it written for Abandoned.
Mhm.
Oh, my latest one is Zombies. So
Of course it is.
of course it is, right? And so I read that clearing, asking
Mhm.
Archangel Michael, will you please clear? And then I list out what that reading is. And so then the second list of dark energies I call negative polarities. They are this list of energy that's lighter than that other dark, that extreme dark, but it's stuff like curses and black magic and voodoo and
Mhm.
evil eye. All of those are such dark energies, and they're real. I mean,
Mhm.
I came to the conclusion that they're real. And I actually started back in 2010 with 20 of them on my list. Now that list is 86.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's significant. But people, I just cleared a lady yesterday morning, and she was driving to work, and I got her on the phone and cleared her dark energy, and she had such a better day.
Oh,
And
good.
it was amazing. She felt the difference when I
Mhm.
released it. She felt it move out of her head. And so it's always very interesting when I do clear them because it reawakens in me how important this work is.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's amazing that we can actually clear people on
Mhm.
the internet, you
Mm.
know, and not
Yes.
be in person with them, that we can actually, because energy is energy.
Yes.
And I think that's amazing that we can do that for
And
people.
the first time I realized I could do work over the phone
Yeah.
was back in that first year. Okay. My little grandson, he was about 7 at the time, was starting to have these funny little temper tantrums when he'd fall on the floor 10 minutes before dinner because he couldn't have a cookie. A 7-year-old doing this?
Yeah.
And so I looked at him and I realized he had an energy on him kind of like I did with that
Mhm.
chiropractor, right?
Mhm.
And I said to that energy, if you're not here for highest and best good, go to the light.
Mhm.
He immediately stood up, he brushed himself off, he looked at his mom and I like we were nuts and walked away. And she said to me, what did you do?
Yeah, right.
And I told her, I said, well, this is what I did. So
Mhm.
we both started doing it because it happened all the time. And then one day she called me. I was living in a house next door. And she calls me and she says, Mom, I can't get the energy to leave. It won't leave him. So I said, oh, honey, I'm out shopping.
Mhm.
And I said, well, let me try. So I did what I normally did. And she goes, oh, great. It left. Thank you. And I go, dang, I can do this over the phone.
You have the power to do it. And I think that's wonderful. So, it almost sounded like you didn't know much about your gift to clear those energies.
Mm-mm.
And like step by step, you use that little intuition of yours to figure
Absolutely.
out everything. And God sent you, the plan, I guess you could say, without you realizing it.
Oh, totally. I
Yeah.
mean, I was on a path, and I
Mhm.
mean, horrible things happened in that year, but I learned so much. I learned about the beauty of animals and how they bring us messages, right? It
Right.
started with butterflies,
Yeah.
and then it turned into cardinals and hawks and crows. I mean, on and on and on. I have so many beautiful animal stories because in that year I was inundated with messages, and guess what? I saw them, and guess what? I read up on what the message was and I learned from it. And so
Mhm.
more and more animals came to me. It was pretty cool, right?
And I hear that. It's almost like, Sleeping Beauty, being surrounded by all the animals and the birds, and she's singing because I think they can see your energy and know that it's
Absolutely.
like the light, they go, oh, there's
Mhm.
an energetic person I want to go to and interact with. So I've heard of that
Yes,
happening.
and actually, at some point in my first year, couple years, I found a medium that I could trust.
Mhm.
And I just got kind of confused because what is this that's happening to me? And help me know that I'm doing what God wants me to do, that everything's
Mhm.
okay. All right.
Right.
So I contacted her and had a session, and she sees my mother next to me,
Mm.
and is giving me. My mother wanted to talk to me, and she had beautiful things to say. One of the things she said was that this is very interesting work that you're doing. And she
Yeah.
said, "You're healing the world one person at a time." And I'll never
Mhm.
forget that. Okay. But
Wow.
I also learned from this medium that my mother comes to me in a cardinal. Okay.
Really?
And
Okay.
so I had a second session with her. And before I got home, playing by the side of the road was two cardinals. It was amazing. And I went,
Oh, wow.
okay.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that is such a gift, a validation from our loved ones. And I'm glad you mentioned that because there's something that I read about what you do and talking about generational energy.
Hmm.
So can you kind of talk about a little bit about that? How, we can pass our dark energy, our what am I trying to say? Our
Well, the non-beneficial
There
energies.
you
Yeah.
go. That's what I was trying to think, and I went blank there. I wanted to make sure I used your terminology.
You're
Yeah,
doing
so
a
how does
great
that go from generation to
you're
generation?
doing a great job. And so I here's my clearing protocol, okay? So after I get the dark cleared, okay? Now, mind you, what I do with a client is I ask them the first question to tell me what's not working, and it's all those issues that you stated in the beginning of of this podcast. And then I ask them, well, what would they rather have? And then
Mhm,
together we create an intention statement. And so, to that intention statement, I'm clearing all of the energies that don't belong, that are keeping the client from reaching the intention. Okay. So, after I get dark cleared, I go into clearing. I ask, are there any spirits attached? Are there any souls attached? And are there any souls riding? Okay. So soul's writing. So a lot of times people come in and they have a beloved grandparent their energy is attached to them, and I
mhm,
clear that. Okay, I
mm,
actually clear that grandparent so they release. Okay, remember I talked about my grandson Connor, where he kept having this energy attached and I'd shoo it away, it kept
mhm,
coming back. I didn't want that to happen in my protocol, so I figured out how to clear energy so it doesn't return. Okay, so once I'm done with any spirit or soul attachments, I'm working with these the soul's writing. Now, through my work, I've realized that souls come in to get cleared. So for my work, they're kind of like, it's kind of like, well, I'm clearing that grandparent, but the soul's back maybe 25, 35 generations that want to be cleared come in. They're in the chakra that's about 6 inches below the client's feet.
Mm, mhm,
And they're hanging out. They're like in lives between lives, or they're still working through, we have the whole purgatory concept, right?
mhm.
They're working through issues that they had in their lifetime, and they want a little help. Okay.
Right.
So what I do is that I have a number of my clearings that I run that are on those souls. So I'm clearing from the grandfather back 30 generations, and I read a
Mm.
clearing to them, and they all release. It's actually pretty beautiful.
Oh,
So
wow. Yeah.
what can this be? It can be anger. It can be
Mhm,
fear. It can be an emotional situation that is wrought with even wanting to kill someone, right? So
mhm.
it's amazing what comes up in this time frame. That's why it takes me, so a really good clearing for a person takes me about 2 hours, because I'm not leaving a stone unturned with
Mhm.
energies that are there that can help the person live a much more beautiful, happy
Right.
life and meet their goals.
Right. Oh, that is that. Oh, I love how you just explain things because you can tell you're passionate about it. And it's just like you're saying, you're helping one client at a time. And that is just so important. So, is there
Mhm.
anything that we did not talk about that you want to bring up?
Okay, that's an interesting idea. And yes, there is.
Okay.
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 So, what's important for me when I'm working with every client is that they carry the protections that they need so that these energies don't come back. Okay.
Mm,
So, I have a number of different protections that I help put on them, and they learn to do them themselves because
mm,
I do all my work out loud, because I want my clients to not have to come back to me every time, but to figure
right.
things out, and add them. I do bubbles. I do a light pillar. I even, for some people, encrypt their energy, right?
Oh,
So
wow.
that
Mm,
nobody can snoop on them.
mm,
So it encrypts words they say and words they think,
mm,
words they write. Okay. So that's just an
mm,
example of what I do. It can be pretty extensive. And then one more thing I want to bring up that I think is really, really, really important is that before I'm done with a client, I want to teach them tools they can use to help remove that stinking thinking. Okay.
mhm. Yeah.
So if we're in fear all the time, we're going to bring back non-beneficial energy, right?
Mhm.
If
Right.
we're angry all the time, we're going to bring back non-beneficial energy. So my tools, I have probably 55, 60 tools, because I teach them in my Course in Awareness as well, that I teach people the different ways to lighten, brighten, and bring their energy up into a much, much more beautiful space.
I love it. Oh my gosh. See, I always love when I have guests on that I actually learn from. So I think it's wonderful because I feel like I know that people are going to learn from you, but it just, I just love it. And that's why I love doing the podcast. Are you
Mhm.
ready for your last question?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's bring it on. And I'm going to go ahead and spin it. And then when it has an answer, it actually gets bigger. So you don't have to squint your eyes.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh,
My biggest pet peeve. Isn't that funny?
I know. It's so interesting because with each guest, it almost seems like it's predestined. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. Oh,
Um,
absolutely. You
yeah.
know,
So,
and absolutely, I have no
yeah.
problem answering this. My biggest pet peeve is negativity, right?
Hmm.
So many times people get so negative, right? And
Right.
it's so easy to just flip to what do you want instead, right? What's the opposite of the pet peeve? So
Mhm.
if we think about, what we don't want, we wonder why it keeps showing up over and over again, right?
Right.
So negativity is actually manifesting what we don't want. And I just can't believe people do that.
Oh, I know, and that's a good pet peeve, and that's why you're doing what you are doing in the
Amen
energy
to that,
field.
Michelle.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think, it kind of got your butt going in the right direction. So, where can people reach you? And tell us if you have any workshops that are coming up.
Okay, great. Yes, I
Yeah.
will. So, people can reach me at um, Alida at energybalanceforyou.com, and I'm sure you'll put that out
Mhm.
there so that they can see the correct spelling. That's my website.
Okay.
And you know what? I give my phone number, and here's
Okay.
why. Because people that need me, and they'll
Mhm.
text me and they'll reach out to me, and that's been done before. And
Right.
so my phone number is 214-504-8008. And so that's the easiest way to just send me a text. What do you need? I'll love to help you. And so workshops coming up. A Course in Awareness is coming up again in September. It's a
Okay.
5-class course. I do it in person, live, and for the first 6 people that sign up get to come here to my home, and I
Mhm.
start, and then the rest is by Zoom.
Okay.
And it starts September 17th, I think, is the first class. As I said, it's 5 classes,
Mhm.
and it's absolutely fabulous. People that take it love it. And then I have um, a free giveaway, in that if you go to www.lifeenergy, minute. Oh, my mind is just gone.
That's okay. No.
Hang on.
Okay. No
I'll
worries.
get this out here. I got it.
Okay.
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 If you go to awakeninglifeenergy.com,
Mhm.
okay, you're going to get 7 emails from me, and it's going to be different tools that I think you would love to have in your toolbox.
Oh, I
Mhm.
love it. And I think it's so important for everybody to, like you said, have tools so that they know what to fall back on.
Absolutely.
Yes.
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 Mhm.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening and to Michelle's Inspiration Hour with Alita. And I think we had a fabulous conversation. And remember, the quote that I said at the beginning of the show is balance your life and live it. I love it because don't forget to live and keep that positivity, right? And get rid of that negativity. All right. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.